Episode 20. This is the Dandin and RJ Machismo podcast. This is Dandin. My co-host RJ will not be in today. So tonight I got a real cool guest. I got the legend, the DC AM sports legend, Mike Callow of ESPN 6:30 AM. First and foremost, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the kind word, and yeah, I guess there aren't too many AM legends anymore. So yeah, I'll put myself on the list.
I
That's
mean,
fine.
you are like up there, so I wanted to give your props. So, um, yeah. So first and foremost, I hope you and your family are well and safe over there. You're from Maryland, right? You're in Maryland, living in Maryland.
Yeah, born and raised in Montgomery County, still here,
Nice.
haven't left. Just it's where I want to live, so I'm not leaving anytime soon, I
There
think.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's everything currently going on? In Maryland with the current pandemic.
Like it's fine. Like I mean, obviously everywhere the numbers are kind of spiking up, but in terms of like how this area is handling it, like I actually am like pretty proud. Like right away, people were masked up around here. Like the distancing is pretty good. Like I'm actually like, even though numbers are going up, like it's one of the better areas to be in. Nobody yells at each other for wearing masks or anything like
Okay.
that. So I'm pretty good with it right now.
That's good. That's good. No Target or Target or Walmart incidents going on over there.
No
Okay,
World Star.
that's great. No World Star. Awesome. All right. So just a quick icebreaker with you, Callo. Tell us more about yourself.
I mean, like I said, born and raised in Montgomery County. We'll get into more of it later, but I grew up in a Redskins family. Just we had season tickets and literally was like born in a Redskins sweatsuit. So like right away, like knew I was gonna be, a diehard fan. And that team was pretty bad. So I jumped on to like the Caps and the Nats, and like I just haven't let go of that. I've been so interested in all of it. And, you know, if you work in your passion, which is that, it's not really work. So jumped into radio in 2013 and haven't looked back. I've somehow survived, about 7 years, and being a younger guy in the business, I'm a little shocked at myself sometimes at it. So all DC sports, everything. And I enjoy it all.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a rare commodity these days. A lot of bandwagon fans nowadays. So there's not many of
Yep.
us anymore, Callo. So stay true to the team that you love. So much
For sure.
appreciation. So yeah, did you go to school for for broadcast radio for that?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny, like I didn't decide to get into radio till like right after I graduated high school. I'm one of those guys that like I'm watching the game and I'll make like 3 quick points and like Joe Buck will say it like right after I've said it. So like it became a joke with all my friends in high school, like, oh, like, when are you gonna start announcing games? But like I don't want to announce games, I want to talk about it. So when I was like getting ready to go, I went to Montgomery College. They have a radio program, and then I actually started reading into it. And like they have one of the best radio programs like on the East Coast. Actually, like it's known for like placing people in good positions. So went to school for it, worked and went to school at the same time. And then, 4 or 5 years later, got an internship at 980 and here we are.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So a little more background about we can definitely get into your radio career currently. So you were saying, when you were a young kid, you were born a DC sports fan. I guess it was embedded in you through your parents and your family. With your great grandfather father as an original Redskins season ticket holder, what was it like being a part of a loyal DC sports family?
um, Interesting, like to say the least. Like Sundays definitely hinged on a win or a loss on, the football team. And it was pretty funny. Like uh, it got to a point where I could tell like my parents, they had just seen like the 3 Super Bowls and they went to the last Super Bowl that the Redskins won. Like they were at Super Bowl 26. And like that's one of my earliest memories is I remember them like dropping me off at my uncle's house to go to Minnesota. And so like I always give them crap for it. Like, oh, I could have been there. I could have been on your lap or something. Like, yeah, we're gonna bring a child to the Super Bowl. We're gonna like, have a few drinks or whatever. And it was interesting. But it was really funny because like early 2000s when Dan got the team, my parents weren't liking it at all. They didn't like the new stadium. I mean, not a hot take there, right? Like a lot of people don't like Dan or the new stadium. When that happened though, like, and their interest waned a little bit, my interest had to go somewhere else. So in like 2005, 2006-ish, when the Nats got here, that became my second team right away. And then in 2008, when Ovechkin, got us into the playoffs the first time, like I was hooked. Like all of a sudden hockey it was football on ice, like you've watched a million games. Like there's nothing like watching that sport live. So all of a sudden it was like, oh, I have like two other outlets here, and put those three together. And then like that same year Ovechkin got into the playoffs was the Gilbert Arenas years for the Wizards. So like my energy just like was all over the place. And I was like, oh man, there's like more to this town than football. Like this is crazy. I didn't even know this. So yeah, it basically, long story short, they gave me the energy to go root for all the other teams pretty much.
Wow. So it was basically like based on what you were saying. It was Gilbert Arenas, it was Alex Ovechkin, it was Nicholas Backstrom. You know, let's
Yeah.
bring it back. Livon Hernandez. With the Nats.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Little Dimitri Young action with the Nats. I mean,
Dimitri.
the OG for all of us is Cal Ripken. Like, of course, I grew up watching the Orioles. Like, but when Cal left, like, I lost interest as a kid. I had no interest in it. But yeah, absolutely, it was Ovi. It was Gilbert. I was honestly a bigger Caron Butler fan than Gilbert for a hot sec. So like, I was all in with Tough Juice. So when they had those three, like, it was amazing here.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. So, what was your fondest memories with those Washington Wizards? That big three. Like, what was your fondest memories with that?
Oh man, for me, it's got to be when. I mean, obviously, the Gilbert 60-point game against the Lakers is like. I mean, it's. I mean, to call his shot and like to trash talk Kobe and Kobe trash talk him. Like, even looking back now, that's an amazing set. Like, just to like go back and kind of listen to that. That's probably one of my top ones there. I loved the MLK walk-off shot. I think they were playing Utah, I think. I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Where he shot it up and he turned around and put his hands up before the thing went in. Like that. I mean, in any time Gilbert got it on with LeBron, right? Like
Oh
LeBron
my God.
hated the Wizards for a while there. Like,
Mhm.
and that was cool. Like, we were the villains, like it was fun being at Cap One, Verizon Center, or whatever you want to call it. And like Cavs fans being so mad because like the Wizards shouldn't have been like going at them like that, and they would. And it was fantastic. So I'd say like the LeBron and Kobe feud is probably my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, you are a Gilbert Arenas fan. I see your number 9 jersey, very rare. Might I say? So, Gilbert Arenas, my opinion, I've said it in the podcast, our podcast. Like, I think he's like the greatest Washington Wizard, my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to John Wall or Bradley Beal, but for those 5 years, he was a top 5 player, NBA player before the injuries. And had he didn't get injured, had he didn't have with the gun incident, we would have won a championship, my opinion. I mean, that's just my opinion. We would have been made it to the NBA Finals, and he would have retired as a Washington Wizard. So, um, it's just unfortunate that it had to happen that way. But and I see why like the Washington Wizards had to blackball him. Like, he doesn't mention of his name, he doesn't mention of his accolades, not even his birthday. That's sad. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Ted is very specific on how he wants to run things. So for us as a diehard Wizards fans, we'll always like cherish those good memories, right? So, all right. So next question for you, Callow. One of your hobbies that you enjoy is collecting nationals. Oh, go ahead.
They have.
No, can you hear me, Callow? I think you're breaking up a little bit.
There you go. I got you. I
Awesome.
got you back.
All
You
right,
hear me
cool.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right. Next question for you, Callow. So one of the hobbies that you enjoy, and I see it from your head to your shirt, is collect. Oh no, are we good?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
I'm
record
back
it.
now.
Oh, we're good. We're good. We're recording. All right.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2. You know how it is when we get stuff like this. All right,
Right.
Callow. So next question for you. One of your hobbies that you enjoy doing, and I see it, from your head, and then the jersey that you're wearing right now, is collecting, sports memorabilia. So I know you collect a lot of, just talking to you just now, you collect a lot of game worn memorabilia, a lot of hard to find merch. Which ones are your favorites, and which ones were the ones difficult to find? Callow.
Did I get you back?
Oh, got you. Did you hear my question?
Did you say hats or jerseys?
Oh no. So I'll repeat it again. All right. So one of the hobbies
Okay.
that you enjoy doing is collecting hats and fitteds, right? So which ones are your favorite, fitteds that you've acquired, and which ones were the most difficult to find?
So this is like a loaded question for me. It's like kind of like picking between children a little bit, but like my my favorite ones that I got, and like I didn't really realize how rare they were, is I knew somebody that was working at the park, and they got the opening night hats from Nationals Park. So they all have a special patch on them with the date of the game, and I have 6 of the starters from that night. So, including Oliver Perez, who started. So, I have like the hat that was worn for the first pitch ever at Nationals Park. So, in terms of like game used, like those are my favorite. And the funniest part about that is the 3 starters I'm missing. I think I'm missing Nick Johnson, who started at first base. I'm missing Zimmerman, who of course played, but his is in the Hall of Fame. So, I never had a shot at that one. And then yeah, and then the third one was the catcher. I don't think the catcher was wearing a hat. So like I have almost everyone that you could get if you collect that stuff. So
Wow.
game use, that's probably my favorite. Just like, anyone that you can buy in store. Just sentimental value is the World Series hat from last year. I mean, you're never gonna beat it. I remember when I bought it, like I was just thinking like, is this even real life? And like I barely wear it because I don't want to ruin it. So I just wear all the other ones that I bought in like the coming months. I have every different patch. I have the pink underbrim World Series one. Like I have a bunch of them. So, but in terms of game used and regular, like those are my 2 favorites. The opening pitch for Nationals Park, probably my favorite like game used one though.
Wow, that's super rare. So like where do you store those game worn like fitteds?
So I bought one of the. I don't want to like give them a free plug, but whatever. Everyone knows I love them. Hat Club sells the hat duffel.
Okay.
So I literally bought that just to store my game used ones. So like that way no one ever accidentally grabs one. Like it can't get messed up. Like they're sealed. And I probably got about 20 of the game used ones because I collect players too. So like I got a Strauss in there somewhere. I got Gio was when he wore a camo hat one day. I also have actually my rarest game used one is Scherzer's Expos hat from when he started the Expos Day last year. Like that's
Oh,
top of the line for me actually when I'm now that I'm thinking about it again. So
you got the jersey too, right? You got the Expos Scherzer jersey.
the not the game used one, but the replica. Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely shelled out for it because I knew when I saw it, like, when am I gonna buy? Like, when am I gonna have a chance to buy this? And
When
there
you
was
gonna
only
see it again? Yeah.
yeah, there were only like literally like 6 or 7 on the rack too. So I was just like, yeah, I'm copping. Like I know this is gonna cost me so money, but when am I
Wow.
not gonna be able to buy it? So
Wow, that is awesome. That's awesome. So like, do you just go to when you buy your stuff? Like, do you go online? Do you? I mean, for you working at the industry, I'm sure like there's networking going on. Like, how do you acquire those things?
well, it's funny, like being in the industry does me nothing actually because it's all money talks. So like there's honestly like I'm not even joking. The Nats, they used to sell their game used stuff with the Dream Foundation, which was their charity. Nothing wrong with it except they sold their stuff really cheap. Like I got those opening nights hats for $25 a piece. I know they're worth like hundreds of dollars a piece. And it got to a point where it wasn't just me, but it was a lot of other people kind of lining up there to buy whatever they had. And the resale market was crazy. People were just flipping it on eBay or, hoarding a bunch of it, whatever. And no joke, like a couple years after they started doing that, they didn't get any more game used stuff, and then they opened up a game used stand that's in the park now. And like this isn't new. Other ballparks do this, but like I'm pretty sure they realized really quick, like, oh, we have a big market for this. So they open that up, and if you honestly like you make friends with the people that are there and email the memorabilia people, they'll send you a spreadsheet of everything that they have, and it doesn't like there's no ins whatever, they'll tell you what's available. You got the cheddar, they'll get it to you. And
There
then
you go.
what you do though is at the end of every year they do an equipment sale, and when they do that, it's usually the previous year's stuff you can get for like half off or like 40% off depending who it is. So you got to know what you're going to dive into. But I just know, like, I'll know that, like, oh, Gio started that game on Memorial Day where he was wearing that hat, or like Strasburg didn't pitch this game, but I know he was wearing that jersey. Like, you just got to have a photographic memory a little bit. So you'd kind of just ask, and then honestly, other people trade stuff. They like to trade stuff or sell it to buy new stuff. So I belong to like a couple groups that have that. But yeah, it's a little bit of luck involved too.
Nice. All right, so that's very that's an awesome that's some gems that you dropped, Callow. So next question for you. Another hobby that you enjoy is also and related to has is collecting sports jerseys. So which ones are your favorites that you own, and is there any ones that you're still looking for?
Oh man, I don't think I'm looking for anything right now. Like, I'm kind of weird when it comes to jerseys. It's only when it like pops into my head that I'm like, oh man, I need that. Because a lot of times if I want something, I'll just grab it, like it's not hard these days. In terms of favorites, like I love the number 9 Gilbert. I have the orange Bullets Gilbert. Like any Gilbert Arenas jersey, I'm all in on, because as you said, the 5 years here were so good. And like, if you see someone else rocking one and like they see you and they were like, it's an instant conversation. In terms of like, Wizards, those are the best ones. I have the Bradley Beal All-Star jersey from LA a couple years back too. That one's pretty rare. Like, I had to order that from the Lakers because they were the only ones that had it. So that's in terms of basketball, that's it. When it comes to Nats, I got a ton of favorites because their game used jerseys are cheap, man. Like I can snag 4 or 5 of those for $50 a pop. But like I've got a couple that have huge dirt stains on them. Like I have a Danny Espinosa, like the whole entire front is just all dirt, and it was when he slid into home. So like those ones are like probably my favorites. I've got a Strasburg jersey that he wore on the bench for one of the Memorial Days. So like that one has camo letters on it. I love that one. One of the other cool ones I actually got last year was Davey Johnson's jersey near the end of his tenure with the team. And it had the Navy Yard patch on it because of the Navy Yard shooting. So that was kind of cool to get like one of those with the patch on it. But when it comes to Nats, I got so many, and like I started to collect like the Wall of Shame a little bit too. Like I snagged a Drew Storen for really cheap, like a playoff Adam LaRoche jersey. Like I started kind of doing this thing where I was like, I want like epically bad jerseys now because nobody wants them, and they're like, I was there the whole way, and now that like they won the World Series, it's like, I have the whole lead up is what I'm saying. Like I was there when they sucked. So
Yeah. Because I think I saw your social media where you were looking for a Gerardo Parra. Were you able to get a Nationals Parra jersey?
Not one, like not a majestic one. Like so, like it's hard to find a pre-made one because the ones made at Nats Park, I'm not a big fan of. Like, I mean, it's fine if that's your thing, but you know how it is. Like, there's just little differences, and you can tell when it's not like the real thing. So I never found the Parra. I'm still so bitter about the blue jerseys never being sold. Like, I mean, the Nike ones are there, but like I wanted the majestic ones so bad. So that was I didn't get that. One I did want to mention though is I do have a Cole Holcomb football team jersey. That one's game used. Like that's like my pride and joy right now.
Wow.
So,
What did he give that to you, or were you able to obtain it through like how were you able?
So that one, it's a website called Victory Mondays, and it's Michael Thomas, not the Saints wide receiver, but the Texans player. And he started this website where he was going to get game used memorabilia from players, and then all of the proceeds go to black colleges. So like I just got an ad for it one day, and it was like Cole Holcomb's first jersey, from the football team, like when they beat the Eagles. And I was like, shoot, like I'm gonna try to bid on that. And like no one bid on it. So like it was an easy snipe. And then he signed it, personalized it to me, like says like to Mike with like first win, first game as the football team. So like that's cool. That's like one of my favorite ones that I got right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's great. Especially like nobody bid on that
Oh
auction because
yeah.
nobody wanted Washington football team. They're not out
I think no
there.
one knew about
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
That's
So
a yeah, that's a snipe right there. How about hockey sweaters? Like I'm sure you got like a whole bunch of cap stuff.
yeah, ton. Like I'm trying to think like what I like the most. In terms of replica, my favorite replica is I have a Ovechkin Stanley Cup style jersey. I don't know if you know about this one. Like, so like in baseball, like they have the gold jerseys, right? Where they have gold trim, like all that. The Nats had them last year.
Hmm.
All the other teams do it. When the Caps won for like maybe a month, Fanatics had them. They were silver. Like anything that's white on the jersey was silver. So like the Capitals logo on the front is silver, the 8 is silver on the back, the silver captain's patch. Like that's my favorite replica right now because I don't see a lot of people with it. I don't think people really like understood like what it was. And that's my favorite replica in terms of caps. In terms of game use caps, I got an obscure one. Like it's like my favorite jersey. So John Carlson played for a junior team called the London Knights. That's in Ontario, and Dale Hunter coached him there. And when he was a Caps prospect, I was just like following along, like where he was at, whatever. And so I was just following, and then they auctioned his jersey off, and I snagged that one too. Like that one went for a little bit, but like it was just, I don't know. I had this feeling like John was going to be a good player. So it was the jersey
Wow.
he wore the whole entire season in his juniors. And that one is tight because it's just beat up. Like it's all torn up. There's rips, there's holes, there's like legit tears in it. Like it's awesome. And then just seeing how good he's been, like that thing, that's awesome for me.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
do you have like jerseys that you hang on the wall, like that's framed, like in your house, in your home?
I don't actually. I should. Like it's a cardinal sin that I don't display some of them, but like I've been constantly moving the past like
Okay.
2 years, so like haven't gotten a chance to do it. My goal is honestly to get a frame for each team, and
Okay.
then like I can take the frame in and out, and that way I can like throw different ones up like every month or something like that.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I'm sure that that's the goal when have your when you're settled in, you'll have your own man cave. You have all like
Exactly.
all your merch, I'm sure you have bobbleheads too and towel rally
Yeah,
towels, all
all of them.
the kinks. Man,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
awesome. That's awesome. All right. So we're gonna dive in towards what you're doing now, Mike. Um you started your full-time opportunity with the current Washington football team radio broadcaster Brand Weinstein back in 2016 with the team 980, and later worked with Bram with ESPN 630. What makes Bram unique from the radio personalities that you worked with?
Man, it's kind of funny because I was working with like former players like D Mitch and Doc, and I know we'll get into that in a little bit, but I think me and Bram, where we connect so well and what makes him unique is like he is a fan like I was, like starting out, right? And then we're both still fans. And like I think sometimes media people lose it a little bit in our business where like they're kind of too cool for school, and like they like kind of root for the team, but they're not full like rah rah. And I think that's where Bram and I kind of get along, where it's like we want all the teams to be good. We know we have to criticize them at times, but we can root for them at any time. And he's really unique because he grew up a fan like I did, and then covered the team for like 6-7 years. So he's not afraid to go at him. And then he left for a little bit. And what's funny is like the time that he left is the time that I became a huge sports fan. So like it's really funny to see where like our gaps kind of like line up like that, because I can chime in on the stuff that like he doesn't quite remember, and he'll even say like, oh man, yeah, like I totally forgot about that. And we fit really well on when he left and when I like became a huge fan and was like in high school and stuff. So um it's kind of cool how we match up on that. But in terms of just working with him, he's easy. Like, he doesn't take himself too seriously. Like, in this business, you can see sometimes guys take themselves seriously, and he's pretty lighthearted, which is like just makes him really easy to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows, especially like with him, doing the play-by-play broadcasting. Like, you can tell, like, this comes naturally with him because he first of he loves the team. He knows the team from
Yeah.
1 to 53, like a top to bottom. And he knows the cadences, like the what's going on with the player. So to me, like, it's very refreshing for me to hear him like on the broadcast. Sometimes what I do is like I'll mute the game, and then I'll put their broadcast on.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people do that, just to get the authentic feel of like a DC sports type of broadcasting. So that's my little like secret when I watch like Washington football team games. And it was also cool too, like when I remember I was listening with you and Bram. I think, yeah, and he's also a Gilbert Arenas fan. There was a topic where, like, I think when Gilbert was with the big three, and then he was talking like, I'm like I don't know what it's his, I think mid 40. I'm mid 40s. Like, do you see me wearing a Gilbert Arenas jersey? Because I want to, but at the same time, I think I'm pretty much like, out of the culture, as
Yeah.
far as how kids say it nowadays. So to me, it's refreshing, and it's at the same time, like, I get you. I totally get like where he is now, because like he's still a fan of like the DC sports area, and
Yeah.
that shows like every time like like you hear him.
Yeah. I mean, and that was to jump into like the football team stuff. Like, dude, I found out the same day everyone else did. Like, I got a phone call from him a couple hours before the press release happened, and I said congrats, whatever. But I was actually in the same thought as everyone else. Like, I hadn't heard him do play by play before, and like I did the same thing you did. I synced it up with the broadcast, and like he started calling the game, and I was like, oh my God, like he sounds fantastic. I like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I just didn't know what to expect. And I think I was in the same boat as everybody, but like you can hear it in his voice. Like when they score touchdowns and stuff, he sounds like a completely different person too. Like,
Yeah,
I've worked with him for 4 years, and like he called that first touchdown. I was like, oh man, like I've never even heard this side of him
yeah,
before. So
yeah.
yeah,
Like his
awesome.
diaphragm just came out like
Yeah,
touchdown, Washington.
yeah,
Like, oh my God, like I've never heard. I've of all the time, like I've heard him on radio. I guess it's something refreshing for all of us to see like him like broadcasting games.
yeah,
I think it has that more authentic feel, in my opinion, because sometimes with like the national coverage, they don't know the team, they don't know what's going on, with like Ron. They know what he's going through, and like quarterback change and this and that.
yeah.
Like they're not there every day when they see practice, and Bram knows he's there, like he's there all the time. So, props to them, Julie Donaldson and, D Hall. I think they're doing a great
Yep.
job with that. Um, so next question for you, Callow. So you've been a producer for the Team 980 and currently with ESPN 630 for several years. How much do you enjoy working with radio personalities such as Doc Walker, Brian Mitchell, Bram that we just touched in, Kevin Sheehan, Carol Maloney, just to name a few. So how much did you enjoy like working with those sports personalities?
I mean, everyone you mentioned, like first off, like completely professional, like super lucky in that, like getting to interact with everyone you just talked about. Like, I can't really remember it and like many bad things about it, like, to just start off with like who you mentioned, like I worked with Doc for about a year on his show while he did it for 3 years, or, um, well, he did for 3 hours, not 3 years, but like 3 hours a day, it was me and him. And what was cool with Doc is so old school. So like he told me when the show was starting, he's like, I need you to be like all new school. I'm going to call you the millennial on the show. He's like, I'm going to play dumb some days, but like, just deal with me. Like say what you need to say. And like, it actually, there'd be days where he'd legitimately, like, to use the wrestling term, like, fire me up. Like, he would, I could tell he would troll me some days, but like I'd start yelling at him, and then he would turn his mic off and just start laughing. And I knew he was just like messing with me some days. So Doc is awesome. Like, I love doing that show with him. It was a great 3 hours every day. And the way people remember Doc too, like, always kind of humbles you a little bit, because everyone would call in and like praise him and stuff. And you like forget you're working with the champion every day. And then after Doc, of course, was with B Mitch, and like B Mitch is like just a firecracker. Like, but it's funny. You can tell he tackles radio the same way he tackles being a player. Like, he shows up ready to work every day. He's like, all right, man, like, what do you have for me? Like, he was very trusting of me too. And just a really nice guy too. Like, it's he's gonna hate me for saying this, but he's a big softie. Like, he's a father of 3 girls, and I think he's got a son too. But he's a softie at heart. Like, he's the type of dude though. Like, you don't want to piss him off, but for the most part, like, he's super humble, super nice dude. In terms of the others, Kevin, I didn't get to work with as much. I produced for him here and there, but he's the type that I'm so impressed with how much he always knows off the top of his head. Like, I'm sitting there watching him, like, just looking at a computer screen, and he's reading or like looking at something, just real quick. And then like he all of a sudden knows the topic better than you thought you knew it. So I loved working with Kevin. I haven't worked with him as much. And then with Carol was over with me at 6:30 before she got let go. And like, same thing, just nice, professional. She prepared harder for any show than anyone that I knew. And she'll even tell you that, because she knew, being a woman in sports, that like, if she screwed up somewhere, there'd be that, jabroni on Twitter saying like, oh, you don't know anything, or like, what are you doing, whatever. She worked her ass off every day, and I commend her for that, because I knew, like, I'm not saying I knew what she was going through, but I knew why she was studying so hard every day to do her show.
Man, that's awesome. So like another thing I like when you were working with Doc, with during those time, since you're a producer, like those segues with the music, like, you got a pretty old soul, if my opinion. Like, you got a nice mix. You got like Smokey Robinson, you got Diana Ross, you got the Supremes, and then Doc is just like, Callow, man, you're speaking my language. And then even the callers too, like, they're asking for like requests for you to, hey, can you play a little bit more Marvin Gaye in the next segment?
Yeah.
And then like even your guests too, like, they're asking for like requests. So I think that's pretty cool that you're also, you tie in your music taste with your work. So I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, like, I was raised in a musical household, like, so I was all in with like oldies for the most part growing up, and then like, latch on to my brother and sister, like whatever they were listening to, and then like I just, all that evolved, and like, so I know everything too. Like, Doc's funny though, because he used to love and hate stuff. Like, I thought he would like some certain vibes, but then he'd kill me on the break coming in. Like, what is this crap? Like, I remember I played Outcast, like, So Fresh and So Clean, and he was like, what is this crap? Never play that song ever again. I was like, what? How are you hating on Outcast like that? And he's like, I
He
don't even
said,
know
and
who
he
they
he
are.
says that too on live radio. Like, Callow, I
Yeah,
know about Outcast,
yeah,
but don't play that song again with me.
yeah.
And I'm like rolling my eyes, like, oh my, did he not listen to AT Aliens? Like, come on.
Right,
I know
right.
his kids listen to that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's what's funny. His son is his son was my age, so like, he would just be like, don't play any of the new crap. You know what to play. And I was like, all right, dude, I got you. It was the same thing with B Mitch too, though. Like, I think as a producer, you look into that, and it's like, what where you're going to talk sports every day. You're going to be on for X amount of time a day. Like, what can I do to lighten the mood up, or like put you in a little bit of a better mood? So like, I always think the music is an easy one, like, and especially when they don't realize what's coming either. Like, B Mitch was funny. The first day I played Prince for B Mitch, like, he killed a whole segment talking about how when the then Redskins were in Minnesota for the Super Bowl, like, they got to meet Prince, and like, that was like one of the best days of his life, like, because he got to meet Prince at some club. Like, you have like little things like that, and it just makes your show sound better.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, those are big personalities too. Like, I guess it's more of a DC thing, right? Where like you listen to DC Sports Radio, you know the radio personalities, you know what they like, and then you just you're basically a part of they're basically a part of your day because you guys make our day go by. If it wasn't honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, and this is me like as a listener, life would be boring. Like I wouldn't be in touch with like DC sports, or I wouldn't think about DC sports in a different light. So much appreciated to you guys, for all you guys do.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So next question for you, Callow. So as a diehard Washington, actually, I'm sorry. We were also the producer for the Washington Capitals games, and you were also a part of the 2018 Stanley Cup run. What was that experience like for you covering a team and as a fan?
The first word that comes to mind is unreal. Like it still like doesn't feel real. And it was funny. Like that was only my second year producing, but the year before 2016-17 was like, that was the year they had to win. Like everyone said that was the last year, like the team's going to get blown up afterwards. And I always circle back to when they lost to the Penguins in that second round. I think it was in 6 games. I want to say it was either 6 games or 7, but like I always circle back to that moment of being like, crap, like I'm going to produce all these broadcasts. And like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see them win a cup. Like this is going to be like, I get paid either way, whether they win or they lose. But as a fan, it was like, man, it's a tough one to swallow. And I'll never forget like everyone kind of going, oh, the window is closed, this and that. And like going into the year, I was looking at the roster going like, window is actually not closed. Like they have all the main guys back. Like I think they'll be okay. I was like, I don't know where they'll go, but like regular season, they should be fine. And that whole year was like up and down. Like Trotz almost got fired a couple of times. Like, me just having proximity with the team, even I was hearing it. Like it was crazy. And then, they get in, they win the division, and then Grubauer starts those first 2 games, and it's like, oh, all right, like, damn, they might lose again. Like this could be bad. And Eller scores in overtime in that 3rd game, and all of a sudden they were back. Like they beat Columbus, and then the Penguins were there waiting for them. And when they won against the Penguins, I think we all kind of knew like, oh, like it's probably happening here. But everyone has like their moment of like when they thought they were going to win the Stanley Cup, and mine's later than everybody's. Like the Tampa series, I was worried about. And if you remember, like they were up 2-0, Tampa won 3, and then they had to win 6 and 7. And what I remember the most about that is how calm everybody was. Like, and even John, like working with John Walton, like I remember he was just like cool, calm, collected. He's like, think we're going to win. Like we always say, like right before the broadcast hits, we're always like, all right, who's everyone got? Like who's going to win? And like, remember all of us were like, they're going to win. Like game 6, game 7, they both won. And then I had to deal with John too. And this is me being a fan and the producer. If they made it to the Stanley Cup, I told him I need to go to a game. I was like, I don't need to go to game 6, don't need to go to game 7, but like need to go to 1. So it ended up being game 1 was going to be Memorial Day, Monday, but it was going to be in Vegas. But I had already had a flight out to California to come visit my brother. So I just told John, I was like, look, I'm going to miss game 1, but I'll see you in Vegas. And he was like, all right, that works for me. And so like one of my favorite moments, not to get too off topic, was like the way our broadcasts work. I'm in studio, and then at the game, it's John Walton, Ken Sabrin, and for the playoffs, it's Ben Raby. And then we also have an engineer, Tim. Tim only does home games, but because Vegas was such a cluster and getting radio engineers, he flew Tim out to run the games from the stadium. So the night before game 1, we all go to dinner, and like John looks around and he goes, we're never in the same room together, but we're all here in Las Vegas, like, and the Caps are in the Cup. So like, it was this crazy moment of like, this isn't even really like real life, but like, that was one of my favorite moments. But to get to like what I was saying, when I realized they were going to win, it was when I watched game 1, and game 1 was the one they lost. And like people forget though, that game was super entertaining. Vegas threw everything they had at the Caps, and the Caps still should have won because there was a crappy call when they scored. And I remember thinking, like, they're going to win. I was like, it took Vegas throwing everything at them, and they still barely won. And I'll remember walking out of that place, Vegas fans were like, oh, like, we're in trouble. And Caps fans were like, oh, like, we got you. Like, we're going to win this. And lo and behold, they won the next 4. So I knew after game 1 they were going to win the Cup.
Yep. So blame Justin Reeves, right, for game 1 for being
Yeah,
an ass. So
exactly.
that's why he got put into place. We haven't heard of him after game 1. So I mean,
Exactly.
that controversial goal, like where I scored. There was literally interference. I was yelling and screaming like, how could you not call that? It was like right in front of you.
Dude, I was there, and people, like, even Vegas fans were like, oh, like, that shouldn't have happened. And I was like, yeah, I know, like, we should be winning this right now. So yeah, it was crazy.
That is wild. So what was like, where were you when they won it all? Like
So,
how was that experience for you as a fan, and also as a, I'm sure if you were working that day, what was that day like for you?
so like, for me, it was kind of surreal, like, just with everything. Like, you grow up a DC sports fan, you get into the radio business like 6 years before, 5 years before, I guess, at this point. And like, you don't ever envision yourself actually producing the game that is going to be like an iconic championship, like there's nothing that like gets you set for that moment. But like, I was literally by myself in studio, and I wouldn't have had it any other way, because I was kind of thinking to myself, like, who else would you rather be right now? Like, in our business, like, it was surreal. Like, I mean, I don't care that I'll say it. Like, I definitely cried when Ovi picked up the cup. Like, I was glad nobody was in the same room as me. So it was pretty surreal. And I remember I didn't leave that place probably till like 1:30 in the morning, just because we ran long on the broadcast. And I also knew too, like, I wasn't going to get to Vegas. So not being like there, I was completely at home with, like, and the fact that I got to go to one game, I was pretty happy with. The thing that I like really loved was parade day, because I knew I had the end at that point. Like, no broadcast to produce when the parade was happening. So like, I got good media spot for that. Didn't have to deal with the crowd. Like, John Walton took the radio crew out afterwards. Like, that was like probably the most fun I had in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to the Nationals, that Caps parade was much more entertaining, and
Oh,
it was more
dude.
organized too, in my opinion.
Oh, not only that, like, as somebody who's a huge sports fan and just knows how the organizations go, the Caps did everything right. They pushed it back a few days and like got everything right, made sure they got the mall. When the Nationals didn't have the mall, man, like, I knew that was going to be a cluster. Like, when they had to do it on Constitution Ave, I knew it was going to be as good. The only thing is, I understand why the Nats did what they did, was because when they won the World Series, I think literally like the new year started the day after. So I kind of understood why they rushed it through, but I wish they would have just waited a couple of days to get the right permits and stuff, so they could have had it like the Caps parade. But I'm with you. The Caps parade was like exponentially more nuts than the Nats one was.
Wow, that's awesome. So, and then you were also, I also saw on your social media, you were also gifted a championship ring. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. John Walton made sure I got a ring. It's more thanks to Ted Leonsis, because I know he was kind of handing them out to everybody. And yeah, it was pretty cool. John called me one day. Was like, I need your ring size. And I was like, well, like, you're messing with me. And he was like, nah. He's like, I got you on. Like, it'll come in a bit, but got it for me. And then I'd forgotten about it for a while. And then we all went out to grab drinks one night after a game. I think it was like the night before Thanksgiving, like that Wednesday night or something. And he was like, come on out. Like, I've got friends in town. Like, we'll come over towards you. And this place that we went to had like an open mic or something. And John just like, I don't know where he went. And then at some point he grabs an open mic and then just announces to the bar that like, I'm getting a Stanley Cup ring. So it was like this really like surreal scene, I guess. I was like, oh, this is happening. Cool. So it was awesome. I cherish it. It's probably my prized possession. I have all these jerseys and hats and stuff. That's easily the number one
That's
thing
what
I
I
have
was
on my.
saying. Like, I know you have a Stanley Cup championship ring with your name engraved on it. So, so
Yeah.
how often like do you like wear it?
So the first year they won, like I was wearing it, I'd say on average like once a week, like just to flash it. But as time passed, like you kind of you kind of don't want to be flashing that too much.
Yeah.
It's an expensive piece of jewelry. So I would say on now though, like I do it for special occasions. Like if I'm going to a wedding or something or like a family gathering, I have no hesitation to throw in, but not as much anymore just because also, we're a couple years removed. I can still be pumped about it, but it's been a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully when they make their championship run, playoff run, next season, when the world isn't weird anymore, maybe we can see
Yeah.
that Stanley Cup ring again.
For sure, for sure.
All right. So next question for you, Callow. As a diehard Washington Capitals fan, in your opinion, do you believe Alex Ovechkin can beat the NHL all-time scoring record? And do you think they have a chance at another Stanley Cup run before he retires?
I'll answer the second question first. I love the Laviolette hire. Like if they're going to win another one, it's going to come in the next 2 to 3 years. And Laviolette tends to have his teams play really well for 2 years at a time, and then he gets fired. And then that's no secret. That's just what happens. So yes, they're going to have a shot to win one here in the next 2 years. I'm really excited to see what Henrik Lundqvist does next year too. Like having a future Hall of Fame goalie get a change of scenery, play here in DC. Like this is a powerhouse. Everyone talks about how loud it is here, all the fans here, whatever. So, yeah, for sure they can win a championship in the next couple of years. I have no doubt in my mind. Um, Especially because the Eastern Conference has told you whoever's supposed to win doesn't normally win anymore. Like whoever's in the first seed usually doesn't win. I mean, it happened this year with Tampa, but it was also a really weird year. So
Yeah.
I kind of chalk it up to that. In terms of Ovechkin breaking the scoring record, we're dealing with some dicey times now. I thought if you would have asked me, last year, yes, 100%, he's going to do it. Russian machine never breaks. Like dude is not slowing down. Now I have my doubts just because he should have scored 50 last year, got cut short. This year should score a bunch more, but they're only going to play like 50-ish games is what I'm hearing. So if he does, he's going to have to go crazy. And I'm not sure there's enough kind of runway left in his career to do it. I think he's going to get really, really close, but I'm having my doubts. I don't want to answer yes or no to that is pretty much what I'm saying, but I'm less confident than more confident now, unfortunately. It's just, the COVID thing, really, honestly. I think he's going to play for a long time and he hasn't slowed down, but there might not be enough career left for him to do it.
So how many more years do you think he has left before, productive wise?
That's a great question. Like I would have thought he would have slowed down by now, but he hasn't. I would say he's probably got 4 years left to score, 45, 50 goals. And then what does a drop off look like for him? It could be a 30 goal scorer, if he's not even 100%. So I think he's got 4 years left kind of to score a bunch. And then depends how healthy he is, but I could see him playing another like 8 years if he
Yeah.
doesn't mind, playing a lesser role. Cause that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, because I see him like I think as long as he takes care of his body, he doesn't get injured as often. He's not reckless no more, right? You don't see him banging through the boards. I mean, sometimes you do, right? It's like vintage Ovi. I see him like very. Hopefully, he'll have a same career like Yamir Yager, where he plays until like 45, 46.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he still scores, which is the wildest part. Like he still scores in his 40s. I think with Ovi, how he sees like Tom Brady, how he sees other sports, he sees Drew Brees. I think he will, and another example is Yarmir Yager. I think he will prove to the to hockey that he can still play at this level, as long as he takes care of himself, and he has a chance to win a Stanley Cup. I think those are the two conditions in order for him to break the record, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to just like pull the curtain back a little bit too. Like I know he is absurd with his training now. He wasn't before. Like there's a reason that we don't hear about him coming into camp out of shape anymore. Like he pumps millions of dollars just like Russell Wilson into like staying healthy. He has a chef. I know it was funny when all the first shutdowns happened with COVID. He was training with his personal trainer, and everybody's kind of like, why is this trainer here? Well, he has a personal trainer flown in from Russia to get him ready for the playoffs every year. I had no idea that was a thing. So I was thinking like, oh man, like we're good here. Like he knows how healthy he has to be. He understands it. He's got the money. He'll be healthy for a while.
Man. So, like, in your opinion, Callow, is he the most? Do you think he'll be the greatest like sports athlete in DC in our time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bar none. I mean, it's tough to quantify because I know if the football team were to win a Super Bowl, like this town would go nuts. And I know how old school most of the fans are, but I quantify it in a different way with Ovi. Like he turned us all into hockey fans. The Caps existed, but I didn't watch hockey growing up. Well, a whole generation, 2 generations now have watched him. And like, that means a bunch of kids are picking up hockey sticks. A bunch of kids have picked up Ovi jerseys and they're still playing. Like, imagine carrying a whole entire sport on your back. I think that's more than any athlete could say in the city because, with the football team / Redskins, doesn't matter who was playing, right? It was Joe Gibbs was the coach and they won championships and there was a ton of people. Ovechkin put a whole entire sport and team on his back and like got everyone to watch and buy in and sell that place out every night. Everyone bought tickets to watch him, not everyone else. And yeah, bar none, best athlete we're ever going to have in this city, honestly.
Yeah, and the Capitals were the only DC sports team that sold out every night. It's
Yep.
sold out every night. You
For the
know,
playoffs too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'm really pulling for Ovi to beat the scoring record and hopefully win another Stanley Cup. So hopefully that's the key
Yeah,
word. All right,
exactly.
so we're almost towards the end of this, Carlos. So you are also the host of the Washington Football Today on ESPN 630. What is your current outlook on the team this season, and what their future unfolds?
Oh, that's a loaded question. In terms of this year, I'll just start off with this year. Honestly, this is where Bram and I actually get along, like in terms of playing off each other really well, because he loves the football team, grew up a diehard fan, they won championships, whatever, right? For me, that's not the case. I mean, I'm 31, they've sucked almost my whole life. Like, I see nothing. So I'm very, very doom and gloom. And that's kind of how I came into this season. I came into this season doom and gloom. We all knew they were going to be bad, but it was going to be how bad and in what different ways. I was super tough on Ron Rivera from the beginning. Like he was saying some crazy things in the early parts of the season. I'm sure you saw it on Twitter and stuff. He was all over the place, and I tried to stay off of it, but he was just going nuts, and I had no hope really. But um, I think this is the culture building year. I mean, we kind of knew it coming in. I also have to look back to the Eagles game kind of set everyone's expectations off. Like everyone thought they were going to be amazing. And I think we all got a little out of hand, a little too fast, as we do in this market. I mean, it's just we were
We're
craving
gonna
them
win
to
a Super
win.
Bowl. We're 1-0, right?
Pretty much, dude. Like that's how it goes around here. So I kind of like had to reset myself, but I like what he's done so far, honestly. They've got really good pieces all around. Obviously, they don't have it all because they're not winning. But when you look at offense, like I love Antonio Gibson. I love Terry McLaurin. I already call him a top 5 Washington receiver of all time. Like he's got to be on everyone's list at this point. And there are some pieces around. And then, of course, the defense. Like that defensive line is fun to watch every week. It's been a while since I've been able to just turn on a game and just watch a dude like Chase Young play and just, even if they're winning or losing, love what I'm seeing. And so that defensive line I love. They just kind of need to get it together because I'm still mad about Sunday about the Giants game. They should have won that. And so all I'll say for this year is the culture is being laid down, and I have no doubt that actually like Ron Rivera is the right choice right now. They need a quarterback, which is another thing that kind of reared its head this week with Haskins, I guess saying he was working out off the field and Smith is starting, whatever. They're going to need a quarterback. That's kind of like my assessment really moving forward. But I like what I see. And the problem that I hated with Jay Gruden was, like, you know how it is. They were getting blown out like consistently, and they never did that. Even when they were bad under Gibbs, on a bad under Shanahan, bad under Zorn, like name your coach, they were never like destroyed when they were playing. So I'm glad Rivera kind of has them back to at least competing and playing for 4 quarters. Let's start there and then see where it goes. But I'm very hopeful for the future of the team right now. And honestly, you had to kind of drag some stuff in the mud over the summer. The cheerleader stuff came out, like Larry Michael got let go. I mean, there was a ton of stuff that happened, and it all got aired out. And you're not going to fix that stuff overnight, but it's good when you kind of replace those people with better people. So hopeful is my outlook.
Yeah, hopeful, right? For the past, what, 20 years and counting
Yeah.
for all of us.
This one, this one, I mean it though. Like, I think all of us are like, oh man, like they looks like they could be good. I think this time around, it's real.
Yeah, they do have pieces, and for me, like I'm a Haskins guy. Like I bought his jersey, I admit it. Um, I hopefully he sticks around. I know those, what people say on the radio and through sports reporters, that trickles down, right, from the players too. So hopefully for him, it's a humbling experience, because if he's affected about it, then he's gonna be out of here by next year. So
Yeah,
he has to show tough skin that, whatever the coach tells me to do, I just have to do it. If it's gonna be, Montez, I forgot his name, Steven Montez, right, as the quarterback, so be it. This is a developing year for me, because I'm still a rookie. I think, you know what I mean, like he has to be mature about, like, with everything.
yep.
He can't. That's why you don't hear him like so much. Like social media, like it kills the athlete. Like
Mhm.
he was getting butt hurt seeing like these like report. You know what I mean? Like, and it shows because that's his age. He's like 23, 24. Like it's still not a mature age. He's not how I wish like he's athletes like like Terry McLaurin, like good, good athlete where he's very calm, collective, and he's very soft spoken. Haskins, my opinion, like he's still immature, but I hope in time that this is a humbling experience for him this year, because I still think like we still have to and we still have that quarterback. That quarterback is still here. The future of the quarterback, it's still in the roster, my opinion.
It-
I wouldn't want to waste a pick, a mid-tier pick where you have so much needs. You need a left tackle, right? You need a right tackle, O line. You need a linebacker. Those are bigger needs than a quarterback, in my opinion. And a quarterback, you just have to trust in the system, my opinion. So
it Yeah, no, it depends where they're drafting too. Like if they can't get one of like the top 2 or 3, then draft your best player available. I say this all the time on the football team show with Haskins. Like if he wasn't practicing hard or studying up those first 3 games of the season, and that's what we saw, like I hope he does start to practice harder and study up, because it means he can play really well, right? But from everything I've heard, I don't want to say he has an attitude problem, because I don't think that's the case. I think his confidence gets kind of skewed for arrogance at times. But I've heard that the practice habits aren't that great, and that was what kind of led to the benching. It was that Kyle Allen and Alex Smith were kind of showing up before he was and putting the work in, and he wasn't. And, I think this is Rivera honestly just saying, like, look, I know you're better than this, and I need you to be better than this, because if you are, you figure out a really big problem for us. And if you kind of are mediocre, you solve nothing, and we still got to go get a quarterback anyway. So I'm with you. If he does clean things up, he'll be on this team again next year. And I'm hopeful that like that could be the case. I also know where this goes. We had RG3 in this town, and how we all know how that kind of got really ugly towards the end of, I'm not running this offense. My dad doesn't want to run this. He was Dan Snyder's golden boy. Like it was crazy at the end of that. So I
yeah,
think if he puts the work in, he is the
yeah,
answer. But
yeah.
who knows if that's going to happen.
So there, just for me, like I'm glad you pointed out with RG3. There's a big, for me, there's a big contrast and difference with RG3 and Dwayne Haskins, and it's health. You know,
Mhm.
with of course Haskins got hurt towards the end of the year, and I
Yeah.
think he lost a lot of weight. He's muscled up. I think he can take the pounding as an NFL like standard quarterback. RG3 was very frail. Let's face it. There was like when he got hurt with Nada with his knee, and then he got hurt with the Seattle game. Um, you saw the beginning of the end. It was a nice ride in 2012, but um, in my opinion, Haskins does have the tools. He just has to be mentally like prepared, and that's
Yeah.
it. He has all the physical attributes.
No, I totally agree. The different it's funny, the difference between him and RG3 though is I think we all knew RG3 was frail, but that 2012 year was like magical. Like
Hmm.
the way he ran the ball, the way he would fling it. He looked like Michael Vick, the second coming of him, and then
Yeah.
it all fell apart. Whereas
Yep.
with Haskins, I think I think a lot of people are convinced off of very little, which I'm fine with, but I'm waiting for him to like have that game where he is just slinging the ball around, has a confident game, and then we can build on it. And I think that's been tough so far.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Callow. So we're towards the end of this podcast. I appreciate it. So my last question to you, you can ask me a question.
All right. So I'm gonna be selfish here. What do I need to keep doing for my brand? Like, what do you like seeing from me on all the stuff that I post on social media and stuff like that? I know it's kind of like a question about myself, but I don't get this opportunity often. So, what do you like that I like post about and all that stuff?
Now that I got to know you more, Callow, I want to see more of your game worn like
Okay.
sports memorabilia. Like I want to see all your jerseys. Maybe you can do a theme that you can do like a Washington National. Maybe like I would say maybe like towards like the beginning, like ramping up spring training. You can see I want to see like spring training gear. Towards opening day. Maybe you can do like a breakdown of like, opening day fitted hats with the patches. Like you were saying, the inaugural one. I think that's a solid. Like I maybe have seen it maybe once or twice on like TV or maybe on Getty Images,
Mhm.
but for someone to have it and like physically like show it, I think that'll be cool for you to like display it. Because it also goes hand in hand with your work, right? Like, oh, this is I'm a producer for 630. I'm actually posting like Nat stuff. Kind of goes hand in hand, kind of thing. So I want to see
Yeah.
more of like your merchandise, like you're in. I also want to see, yeah, definitely want to see that ring again, the Stanley Cup ring. And then like just sports memories. Like I think you had that was a cool picture of you with the Maryland Crabs, like with the Stanley Cup. That was a
Yeah. Yeah.
cool, yeah, that was definitely like a cool moment. So, maybe like just like little stuff that you've done, maybe with your family, um, maybe like when you were a kid, like when you're watching like Redskins games, you know, you like cheering for Gilbert Arenas, that like what you're doing now, you're wearing a number 9 jersey. I think those type of things like I think those will be very helpful, like for you to post like on your social media, because like I said, that goes hand in hand when you work for 630. Because hey, like Callow, like I like what you're doing. I want you to push more stuff, like push more like Nat stuff, push more like caps like stuff. That
Yeah.
kind of like go. It's just gonna trickle down. Like you'll get like guests and you'll get more like opportunities that way. I think when you show your passion on something, it'll just come naturally, right? Like you'll have opportunities, definitely opportunities, and then you'll have a different, you'll start generating conversation. Like me and you, like we talk, like on the daily about like TC sports.
Mhm.
So I think you'll have a bigger following, in my opinion, because you're known in the DMV. You're known as Callow. They don't call you Mike. You're
Yeah.
Callow on the radio. So
Yeah.
I think if you show those things, I think that'll be very helpful for you as like career wise, and also like we also want to like see like your personal side too, like you know uh you were like your girlfriend like wearing a Washington Bullets like starter jacket. That's a rare jacket. Not many people know like stuff like that. I mean, that's a very rare
Right.
jacket. You can't. That jacket, I think it's like $600 on eBay. Like right now, like I've been looking for one. Honestly, you can't find it. That thing is
Yeah, dude.
hard to find.
I do have one more for you before we wrap it up.
Sure.
I know you're more shoes than I am. I'm like more geek shoes where it's like I like to buy like the Star Wars kicks and the Dragon Ball Z shoes, and I'm all like nerded out. I have all the Marvel kicks, like all of it. But you have like my favorite lines ever, and those are all the Gilbert Arenas shoes. So what are your favorite pairs of Gills that you have?
Oh, that's a good question. If you want, I can bring one out. A couple. Do you want to see them?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
All right. Give me like 2 seconds. All right, Callow. So I'll do a little show and tell for you. So you said your favorite game was the 60-point game, right? With against
Yeah,
Kobe
yeah,
with Gilbert Arenas.
yeah.
So if you saw me in my social media, I met Gil very first time. Hard to believe. This past January. When Kobe passed away, he wanted to, reach out to the kids. He wanted to. It was actually Kobe that wanted him to be like, like a coach to the kids, right? Because he has kids of his own. When he passed away, like he basically pushed, you know what, be like a, I want to be like a coach, just like Kobe told me to do. So he on his social media, he was saying, oh yeah, like I'm doing like an open run, any kids is invited. So I actually had my 5-year-old. I brought my 5-year-old with me. I dressed him up in like Gilbert Arenas gear, and then like I saw him, like he saw me, and I was wearing like Gilbert Arenas stuff. Like he just like had the biggest grin, like, do I know you? And then we just like talk. We just talk like, before like I got there early. So he signed all my jerseys. I have like about like 15 Gilbert Arenas jerseys. So that's another thing about me. Like I have a lot of Gilbert Arenas stuff.
Yeah.
One jersey that very special to me was the 60-point game jersey. So it's the Gilbert
Wow.
Arenas one. So
Dang.
I told Gil, hey Gil, can you sign his jersey? And then can you write 60 points on Kobe?
Dang. That's awesome.
So he
That's
wrote that, and he said, "You for real? Like you want me to write that? Like yeah." And then since I live in California, like a lot of people were like, why you gotta do that to Kobe? Because the man did it to Kobe, like when he was alive.
oh,
Like
man.
God bless his soul.
Yeah.
Um, and then another pair of sneakers that if you know Gil, like he had a Adidas line, right? Like and then
Mhm.
he lost it because the gun incident.
Right.
So do you remember when he started wearing designer shoes? And
Yes. Yeah. Every day he wore a different pair.
so there was this one pair he wore against the Lakers, but I think it was back in 2009, I believe. And the story was it was Nick Young's pair that he wore pregame, and basically he took him out of Nick Young's locker room, and he wore them in the game. So these are the Dolce and Gabbanas.
Wow.
So this thing was hard to find, man. Like I had to. It was on eBay. It was actually, yeah, because I've been searching like on eBay. So I actually got it for a pretty good deal. I got it for about I think it was like $125. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I've been
So,
offered like crazy amount of money. Like a lot of people been asking me for like, why don't you just sell them to me? Like no, I can't. Like this is like history. Like
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So the pair, my all-time favorite pair. I don't know if you remember. There was the Gill 20s. I think it was like 2006. It was the year he hurt his knee.
Okay.
He was showing like different type of shoes. So like he did like Halo. He did one for Halo.
Yeah.
He did one for
Yeah.
NBA Live 2008.
I have the
Um,
live ones.
you have the NBA Live. Yeah, those are pretty sick.
Yeah.
But my favorite all-time shoe that he ever made, and I haven't worn this, is the Benihanas.
Yes. Yes. The hibachi ones. Yeah. Those are
Hibachi.
fantastic.
So, I think it was Bram. I remember heard him like, yeah, I wanted those Gilbert Arenas, the red ones. Like, I was like, oh, I was yelling, oh, you talking about the Gilbert Arenas, like the hibachis. So like these I've never worn. I actually have a sign pair with the Gilbert sign. That one's
Mhm.
in my closet. So that's like keepsake for me. So
Nice.
yeah. I have hopefully I can get more stuff. I mean, it's just hard to find. A lot of people aren't really interested, but you know, maybe down the road, maybe his stuff will like retro again, and hopefully that'll come out. So hopefully you know, hopefully that happens, right?
Yeah, no, like I know I keep an eye on all of his stuff on like on eBay, and it actually doesn't really come down. Like there's always a market for it. I guess
Yeah.
people, I don't know if it's DMV people or basketball fans or what, but his stuff stays selling. The only shoes I've got of his though, I have the NBA Live ones. I had the whiteboard ones. I don't know if you remember
Oh, the
those, but like
chalkboard, yeah, where you can write like as a
yeah,
marker, right? Yeah.
yeah, but I wore them. I like wore them into the ground because like I was in high school when I got them, so like they got beat up. So I don't. I think those are gone. And then I have when he had the light switch shoes the year before, he had like all the custom ones.
Oh, the Gill
I
Zeros.
don't.
Yeah.
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 He did a thing on his website. It was crazy. Where it was $25 and he sent you a signed personalized jersey and one signed shoe. So I
Yep.
still have that somewhere too with him sign that. So yeah, prized possessions though. And
Awesome.
as you always like to say, play prices. That was the biggest play up.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Have you met Gil before? Like, have you in
no,
all the time? Never did.
no, because when he got super popular, like you couldn't even get down to the lower bowl or anything when they were
Yeah.
playing. Like he was so crazy, but I'm hoping he does like a memorabilia signing one of these days, and I'll bring a bunch of stuff for him.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
You know what? It was funny, right? Because I had a long ass conversation with him. There was a time like back in January. I was like, dude, I'm your biggest fan. And he knows like I have all the stuff, and I told him like, hey, you know what? Everybody still loves you like back home in DC. I said, I know. Like it's just that stuff happens. Like, and if you heard the podcast, have you heard? Do you listen to Buck and Phil's podcast?
So I heard his episode.
That one's
I
that
tuned in there, but his was amazing.
Yeah. So everything you said on that podcast was everything he told to me. Like my jersey is retired in everyone's closet, and
Yep.
I don't need to have my jersey like hanging in the rafters, because I know those I have memories with these people. Every time like
Right.
he threw a jersey or like he signs it, people wait in line crazy amount of hours because he was once like us. Like he doesn't want to have like us to go through like the stuff that he went through. That's why he's like the people's
Right.
champion, right? Like he was always like
Oh yeah.
all about the people.
Dude, I mean, I know you know how it is on like Wizards Twitter and NBA Twitter, but like when I see people going to bat like they do for John Wall, I'm always like, and this is no like knock to John, but I'm always like, man, John's not half the dude Gilbert was for this city. I know he's been here twice as long, but I was just John is not this city. Gilbert was this city,
He
like,
had the
and
keys. He had the keys.
yeah, yeah, like I will go to the grave with that one. And like I
Yeah.
said, I don't want to like slight John in a major way, but he's not Gil, and like that's fine. But people that go to bat for John like crazy, I'm like, nah, it's always gonna be Gil for me. Ride or die with Gil.
Oh yeah, we were there, and Bram too. Shout out to Bram. Like hopefully we can talk to him, talk about the Gill stuff, and I can show him like, hey Bram, you want to talk about like Gill shoes?
Right. Yeah,
They're like,
absolutely.
are those my size? Like.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that wraps it up with Mike Callow. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on tonight. So where can they find you on social media and on on the radio?
So social media, I'm at Mike_Callow. That's both on Twitter and IG, same name. And then on the radio, man, I'm all over the place right now. So I do updates from 12 o'clock on ESPN 630. And if you're not in the area, sportscapitaldc.com or the ESPN 630 app, you can listen on there. And then I'm co-hosting with Bram 3 to 6 every single day. And then 6 to 7, I'm doing the Washington football team daily show. So, if you got any time in the afternoons, I'm usually there somewhere around there, but anywhere you want to get it. And there's podcasts of all of it. So
Awesome. All right. So that wraps it up for episode 20 with Mike Callow. You guys have a good night.